Hi there, and thank you for pushing play. And we welcome you into Three Guys Before the Game. This is our 520th episode, and it is significant because it is the last Longhorns visit. Did you think about that yet? This is it. We're breaking up. It's over, man. The relationship's over. Last time the Texas Longhorns will be inside the WVU Coliseum, probably in our lifetimes.
Well, not just be. They're not a member of the Big 12 anymore. You know what's going to happen.
I mean, what's the chance they're going to come in here? Why would they be here?
Well, I don't know. When the whole college athletics world blows up in a year and you've got total reorganization and there's 4 conferences of 15, 16 teams, maybe you're back in the same league. Maybe you cross over and play. You know, there's not a member of the Big 12 anymore. Just telling you not make huge definitive statements here.
The last Longhorns visit ever on Saturday at the WVU Coliseum. Three Guys brought to us by Comax Business Systems, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years. By GoMart. Go for good times. Go for GoMart and get the GoMart Rewards card to save on food and fuel. It's a great deal. You spend, your card gets credited, then you take those points off your card, and bingo dingo, you making money. Three Guys brought to us by Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans. They're the best because they sell family fun. And when you boil everything down and distill everything down and you squeeze everything down, isn't that what it's all about? To have fun with your family. Why? Because life's too short. Three Guys also brought to us by the Conley CPA Group. They specifically sponsor Spreads on Stats, and they provide value beyond the numbers. An independent study has shown they're the greatest accounting firm in the world. Like, if there was a competition, they would be world champions. The world champion Conley CPA Group. I think that's what it is. Might be a T-shirt idea. Coming up later in the program, textual healing. Boy, that popcorn's been popping off the shelves.
Popping.
Whew.
Rolling.
Yeah, we'll get into that. You know what we have learned off of episode800.com? For those, this is what I think we've determined. You all have a good appetite. Would that be a fair statement?
Food items have been in demand.
Yeah. You drink coffee, you drink beer, you eat popcorn. And, I was thinking the other day.
Here we go. This will be good.
Not everyone drinks beer.
Right?
Not everyone drinks beer. Right. Alcohol beer. You know, back during Christmas, a couple shows ago, that wonderful gentleman sent me a case of that.
That was Tommy Boy, wasn't it?
Yeah, 24 different types of root beer in a case, and they were fantabulous.
You didn't share any of those.
None.
Have you pounded through them?
I don't know if there's any left, but I brought some down to North Carolina.
Yeah.
For the kiddos for Christmas, and like it was like I drank one. I went like, man, because I did say I liked root beer, right?
Yes.
But I didn't.
That's why he sent it to you.
Yes. But I didn't say I haven't had a root beer in probably 20 years. I don't drink pop. But recently, I took one of those, had it in the fridge, opened it, and I went like, gosh, is that good?
So it was good.
So my point to all this is this. I think we should do a root beer. Don't you think?
I don't know. I haven't thought about it.
Not everyone drinks beer. I think Three Guys, people say they drink Kirchhoff. They drink Mountaineer roasting coffee, the grind that we do.
Yeah. Rusty.
Game day grind from Rusty. They eat popcorn like it's going out of style, Mountaineer Munch, and now the Valentine's popcorn, which I originated, and now the root beer.
I've got zero objections to that. I think it's a wonderful idea. Do you know the microphones are on and we've started the episode? Like we could have done this before or after we begin. The show's on.
I'm aware of that. Might as well get into it. I'm just like a nice Three Guys root beer.
We just got we just got the red popcorn going.
Here's the problem.
Can you give the crew just a little just stand down before you just start throwing stuff out?
But here's the issue. That we record this show always like just around after like 12:30, and I'm always hungry. I'm always hungry when I come in, so I'm always thinking about stuff. Okay, anyway, let's move on. Since the last time we got together, we did Monday's show, and we looked back at the Houston game. We looked ahead to the Kansas State game. And now we look ahead to Saturday's game against Texas. Yes, we are going to talk firstly about the Kansas State game, which, let's face it, plain and simple, knowing what you have in front of you, playing 4 ranked teams in your top 5 games in the league, Kansas State being the only team that wasn't ranked, you looked at that one, you're on your home floor, and you said, got to get it. Got to get it. Well, if they kept score for just a half, you would have got it. West Virginia was up 42-40 at the break. Kansas State totally dominated WVU in the second half, and now you go, oof. However, Texas on Saturday, you also, maybe you look around and you go like, you know what? Maybe we can be UCF. Took a bad loss last week against Kansas State, right? Got run off the hardwood in Manhattan.
Yes.
Go out Wednesday night and beat Kansas.
Number 3 Kansas.
Like, I don't think Kansas had that on its bingo card. They went down there, probably brought a lot of fans, want to go see Mickey, Pluto, Goofy, Sleepy, Droopy, Dummy, and they said, we'll go to Orlando, let's go to Disney, then we'll go over to the game, we'll make a big time out of it, get away from the Kansas cold for a little bit. Don't think they had going down 67-60. Did you have that in their cards?
Did not, no. And so, first Big 12 game for them. They were jacked. It was, again, First home game. Situational spot again. Couldn't have played worse than they did against Kansas State. They're bouncing back in their position. They're at home. They were ready to go. Kansas went in there. You're right. Probably, okay, we'll win this game. Didn't.
Can we get a situational spot for the world champion Mountaineers on Saturday?
It's the good situational spot was K-State coming in here. I preferred that spot.
Yeah, it was better.
And you saw it in the first half, right? You made some shots, made some threes. There was... And the thing that, to me, that showed up against Kansas State, it was really more the defensive end than anything. The West Virginia really struggled to defend in that game, especially at the rim. And I'll give you some numbers on that here in the first place. But first half kind of showed that. 42-40 at the half. You could see there were some points that you were going to have to keep scoring. And eventually Kansas State's defense came through in the second half and locked up West Virginia there.
All right, so let's break down the numbers. And you can focus on second half or whatever way you want to do it. Before we break down the analytics, just from visual, I mean, that was tough. That was tough to watch at times. Kansas State's ability to get absolutely uncontested buckets underneath the basket.
19 of 21 were the Wildcats from inside of 4.5 feet. That's your game right there.
That'll do it. That'll do it. All right, what do the numbers say?
Well, that's the big number to me, and I think the toughest part if you're West Virginia for that number is it wasn't just that in and of itself, which is a big one. So they were 91% from within. They shot 91% within 4.5 feet. National average is 62%. You don't need my numbers to tell you that was effective for them. 40% of Kansas State's shots were at the rim. I think the concern if you're Josh Eilert moving forward is that was a Kansas State team that we talked about going into this game that loved to fire threes. Big three-point attempt rate team that even at times when they weren't making threes, they just kept shooting threes. So the concerning part is that's a Wildcat team that looked at West Virginia's defense and said, you know what I think we can do? We have some length and we have some guys that can get to the basket. We're going to attack these guys and go to the rim. So now as the counterpunch to that, if you're Josh Eilert, you're going to have to say what? Do you have to go more zone more often to cut down penetration? And if people hit 15 threes on you and beat you, you tip your hat, but you've got to shut the spigot off at the rim. I think that was the biggest thing. And for a team to do that to you that doesn't normally do that, I think that's a little bit concerning if you're Josh.
Yeah. I talked to him earlier today, and yes, they've got to do some things different defensively, some gap concepts and things like that, just to try to get some semblance of interior defense because you're getting absolutely abused your last 2 games. Size is a massive issue with this West Virginia team. There's no question about that. Will McNair weighed 265 pounds. He just stuck his butt straight into Pat Sumnick, drove him underneath the basket, and flipped it over his shoulder, and he got 2. And that's going to continue until Jesse Edwards, comes back. There's a different presence there, but right now you're getting eaten alive in that area.
And that's where an Edwards type of performer, a blocked shot guy, just an intimidation guy. So, Jesse Edwards blocks numbers, but what's more important is if your guys out front get beat off the dribble, a lot of times what's the offensive guy do? Well, I'm not going all the way to the rim on that guy, so I'll pull up, just make it a little more difficult shot. So that's one of the big challenges here until Jesse becomes available for you again is how do you stop those teams going downhill at you at the rim? And listen, you're going to get a couple. You're going to push ahead a couple games. What's Kansas always done? What do we notice about Kansas since they've joined the league? They dive at the basket on you. They penetrate and go at it, never mind having 7'1" Hunter Dickinson in there. So that's something West Virginia and Josh Eiler are going to have to look at. Here's the other part, Tony, that continues as a trend. And as I often say, sometimes these stats and these numbers just back up what you've seen on the floor. This is another one. West Virginia is struggling to get, open catch-and-shoot jump shots. They lead the league in guarded catch-and-shoot jumpers, which is not something you want to lead the league in. It means you're getting difficult shots. It was that same way against Kansas State. West Virginia had 20 opportunities where you catch and shoot the jump shot. Catch and shoot jumpers, right? 20 of them. Only 4 were unguarded. So that's really hard. If the predominance of your jump shots are going to be guarded, that makes for a difficult setup. So West Virginia's got to find a way to get some more open looks.
What is today's game defined by? Passing the ball to get what?
Open looks.
Step-in shots. Watch high-level NBA teams. What are they doing? They work that ball like beautiful magic all the way around the perimeter, and eventually someone pops and steps right into an open three. And right now, West Virginia is getting, as you said, out of 20, they got 4 in the course of the game. And Josh Eiler continues to talk about the ball sticking and guys just not getting fluidity and movement in that offense, and that ball sticks, the shot clock starts to wind down, and you end up throwing up something to the rim just to get something off before shot clock violation. Ball's got to move.
Yeah, you don't have to have played very long in your basketball career to know coaches always scream about what? The extra pass. How often is extra pass? Make the extra pass. Well, what's that designed to do? That one extra pass generally creates the opening. So West Virginia's got to find a way to do that. I do think some of that becomes, as we talk about this every show now, West Virginia trying to figure out what the roles are for each of these guys.
Yep.
So, of course, your offense doesn't look really fluid right now because you keep changing these lineup combinations with guys that weren't available, then one becomes available, then 2 more become available, then Jesse Edwards is out. Quinn Slazinski has a role for the first 9 games. That role changes, just to name one example. So all of these guys have had to take on different roles, and they're trying to figure each other out. And I think at times that leads to a clunky-looking offense because you're how many games in now? 15?
15.
But you're really not 15 games in. You're not your normal team that's 15 games into its season. That's been one of the challenges, and I think that's shown up on both ends of the floor, but a lot offensively to this point.
Yeah. So there was one that you needed to get. You did not get it, and now we turn our attention toward the Longhorns of Texas, which have not been warm and fuzzy to the Mountaineers. Texas has beaten WVU 4 straight games. They have won 6 of the last 7 meetings. Last time West Virginia beat them was February of 21. Last year, West Virginia got blown out at Austin, 94-60, 34-point loss, the same margin of defeat that West Virginia had last week in Houston, 34-point loss last season. In the Coliseum last year, it was January 21. It was 69-61. Longhorns won it. And then their last visit to the Coliseum, a 1-point loss. You remember that one? Late February of 22. Longhorns are ranked 20th, and West Virginia loses 82-81.
That was the buzzer beater, right side of the floor. Was that Ramey that hit that?
I believe that was. Courtney Ramey, far side corner.
Right side, yeah.
Yes, exactly. So this, in all conceivable, if kidding aside, I mean, probably the last time Texas comes in here in a long, long time. And they come in on the heels of a last-second victory over Cincinnati earlier this week. So they're playing 2 in a row on the road. They went home, obviously, because that game was same night as West Virginia's game. But now they come here.
So you want a good situation spot. I mean, that's one of the things you want. You get 2 on the road, 2 straight on the road. Okay. This is a good team, though, that's coming in here. And, again, I'll probably open every preview by saying that. 34th in the Ken Palm ratings. They are a little bit different here in basically what are we, year and a half into Rodney Terry?
Mm-hmm.
But remember under Chris Beard, it was a typical Chris Beard team. Like they really guarded you. They were good both ways, but they really guarded you. This team's still good defensively. It's top 51 in a Ken Palm defensive efficiency rating. But offensively, I think, is where this team makes its hay. So far, the only losses they just have 3 losses to number 5, Connecticut, number 18, Marquette, and number 25, Texas Tech. I'm doing Ken Palm rankings there. So 5, 18, and 25 are their losses, 2 of them away from home. So those are pretty good losses, Tony, if you're starting to look at resume here. Offensively, let's get into some of the things they do offensively because that's where I focus most of my time. Balanced as well from a 3-point shooting team and a 2-point shooting team. Top 60 in 3-point shooting percentage, top 50 in 2-point shooting percentage, and they shoot free throws pretty well, 74%, excuse me. Here, watch this. They're very good in transition. Top 1% nationally in points per possession in transition. They score 60% of the time when they push it. So I'm gonna bring up a couple of these things that they do offensively because it matches what West Virginia's got to pay attention to defensively. So one of them's get back, right? Get back on defense may throw off your offensive rebounding a little bit because you got to worry about them pushing on you. They've been very good, have the Longhorns, in scoring off your turnovers. Don't turn it over on them because that's part of the transition. They're going to push, go the other way, and score. They've been very effective using the roll man in the pick and roll. So they like to do pick and roll, but they hit the roll man. And we don't see that a lot from teams, but they're top 25% in points per possession using the roll man. Well, why do I bring that up? What did we just say about West Virginia inside? And it's bigs, right, without Jesse Edwards. So you're going to have to watch that and guard the roll man. They ate up Cincinnati with this in the last game. Now, Cincinnati almost pulled off the upset there, but the roll man was very heavily involved in their last game. Another concern, they've been very good on unguarded jump shots. Top 10% nationally when you leave them open and don't guard them. Reason I bring that up, West Virginia's got to tighten up defensively. Gave you that catch and shoot unguarded number for West Virginia.
Right.
Kansas State had 11 catch and shoot jumpers the other night. 7 of them were unguarded. So 64% of K-State's catch and shoots were unguarded. If you do that to Texas, chances are good they're going to bury you because they're very good when they are left open. They've been getting more unguarded catch and shoots than they face guarded shots, so they've done a nice job of spreading the ball around. Dive into them a little bit deeper. 55% of their points come from twos. 44% of their points come from the paint. Given what we just saw, that's a concern for West Virginia. So that's one of those, if you look at just those numbers on the surface, what's that lead you to probably? Josh is probably going to have to go zone, right? Mm-hmm. Given what you just struggled with inside, trying to eliminate their roll man a little bit. They aren't a team that just loads up on threes, although they can shoot it, and they've got a couple shooters that we'll get to in a minute. It might be one of those where you have to go to more zone than you normally would. In Texas's 3 losses, the opponent has handled the pick and roll well, and in particular, that roll man. So that's a key. Can you do something different this week to handle the roll man? Can you, basically, in essence, what you're asking, can you guard both? Can your guards do a good enough job without the center's guarder jumping out too much and hedging too far out and leaving that guy to roll to the basket? I think you're going to have to stay home more than you normally would. So now that pressure goes back on those guards to stick with your guy, because that's what you're looking for, right? What are you doing to me? What are you doing to me? You're going to come, both of you are going to come to me. I'm going to distribute to the roll man. If you stick with the roll man, now what are you going to do? Now you got a one-on-one situation with the guards. Can West Virginia's guards guard against Texas? That'll be something to watch.
That's another point I would talk to Josh about earlier today, and I said, how big of a role of what you're struggling with inside the lane defensively is the result of Jesse Edwards not being around? He said, well, the reality of it is we were using Jesse as a drop man on that ball screen, and he's an elite guy that can drop. He said that's really not what Pat Sumnick and a Cook do. Right. They don't have that ability to be a great drop. So in other words, what we're talking about, let's say there's a high ball screen and the center is covering the screener, so he can go up. And Jesse Edwards had a great ability of, once that roll man began to roll, to stay right with him, hip to hip, and bring him back down underneath. Right now, what's happening is what? West Virginia's drop man, who's defending that high ball screen, is not getting back, and what do you get as a result? Uncontested shots at the basket, i.e. 90+%. against West Virginia from Kansas State. So that is one of the things that they're dealing with.
Yeah, and so a lot of times you'll see a Cook or Pat, they'll hedge out more and cut the ball handler off, and the guy rolls, and you're not getting help side coming over to close that gap. If your big guy's going to stay out rather than roll with the center or whoever's the pick and roll man, if you're not getting rotation over, you're just going to get crushed. So you may if you're going man to man in this game, you may have to change what you're doing there a little bit, or just be extra careful on the rotations and make sure someone's coming over. Now, what's Texas' response to that? What we just said West Virginia needs to do a better job of. That's where that extra pass comes in. Do they make the extra pass into the corner of their shooter that is now open because you've dropped a rotation? So just something to watch defensively on how West Virginia handles that when they go man. There's only two teams that have played primarily zone against Texas, and it's not a direct comparison. It's been Delaware State and Houston Christian. So that's the other thing you're looking for. All due respect to those groups, the Hornets and Houston Christian. But West Virginia will have to look for some zone. Can you buy some possessions where Texas says, we haven't faced this a lot, miss some shots, and you can steal some possessions if you go zone in this game? So that's something to keep an eye on, too.
What's Ken Palm have it at?
He's got it Texas 7. Texas by 7. Let's talk a couple of their individuals real quick.
Are you going to talk Asmus?
Yes. You want to start with him?
Sure, go ahead.
Max Asmus, the Oral Roberts transfer. You know what's weird about this? This is one of those guys, Max Asmus. Oral Roberts, he was a star of the NCAA tournament a couple years ago. If you had told me Asmus played for Texas last year, I would have bought it. I would have been like, yeah, that's right, second year there. It's his first year there. He didn't transfer in last year. I don't know why that was in my head. That
you thought he was
there.
Was
it a foregone conclusion that he was always going to get called up from, again, all due respect to Oral Roberts, and end up at Texas?
Yeah, well, he's making it worth 17 points per game. He's got 67 assists, so he's 2-to-1 assist to turnover. He has hit 43 threes to lead them. He shooting basically 40% from three. And of his 90 baskets, 43, so say 50%, have been three-point shots. And he hit the game winner for him against Cincinnati.
So here's how they're constructed. You're exactly right. Good numbers there by you. 20% of his shots are from the three at the top of the key if you want to niche it down even further. So he's a point that's going to shoot from the top of the key the bulk of the time, 1 in 5 shots there. And you're right, shooting 40% from three, so he can really shoot it. You've got to stick to him. Go to one of their other guards, Tyrese Hunter. He's the transfer from Iowa State.
Saw him. Now that he's in his second year.
He is in his second year.
So maybe you got him confused with Asmus.
No, Asmus has been watching for a long time. I thought he was at Texas last year. Tyrese Hunter had a great year at Iowa State. Comes in last year. There were times when you could tell last year he was struggling to, what's his role there? What am I supposed to do here under this Chris Beard system? But he's an interesting player. How about these numbers for you? He's going to look to get to the rim on you. And you remember him from Iowa State in that NCAA tournament game when he went bananas from three.
Yes.
And last year I felt like he was a three-point shooter, but didn't have as much success as he did at Iowa State. Well, this year, 41% of his shots are at the rim. So he's been penetrating and driving. He can hit mid-range. He can hit the three, but he's going to try and get to the basket. So that got me thinking. I thought, that's not what he did. Went back and looked at his last year's numbers. 26% of his shots were at the rim. So he's made a concerted effort this year to say, I'm going to the basket and getting in a little bit closer. So I just found that interesting. 15% jump in shots at the basket versus where he ended last year.
Super interesting. Now, for those of you that really follow this closely, he's the former freshman of the year in the Big 12 Conference when he has spent his one season at Iowa State. Yeah.
Okay. Let me give you one more that I don't know that you'd go to first, but let's watch what his impact is. Caden Shedrick. Am I saying that right? Have you done your pronunciations yet?
Yeah, Shedrick, banged up, may or may not go, right?
Rodney Terry's quote after the Cincinnati game was, quote, hopefully he's ready to go Saturday. So we'll see if he's back in. But here's what jumped to me. Big guy, inside presence. He's killed these other teams, the lower level teams. He's destroyed them. But when he has not played, Texas has struggled or just flat loss. Didn't play against UConn, which was one of their 3 losses. Didn't play against Cincinnati. Very nearly lost that game. What was that, a 1-point game?
Yes.
Yeah. He only had 2 points in the loss to Texas Tech. He only had 6 points in the loss to Marquette. So I don't know that if he's their swing guy or if it's just worked out, but when he has not produced, they've lost games.
He's magic.
So keep an eye on him, whether he's going to be in this game or not. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
Now, again, it helps West Virginia. If you take a big out of their middle, guy that could be good on their pick and roll game, a defensive presence that limits you getting to the basket. I mean, you could see where he would be a factor there. Now, he splits time with Dessou, right? Who,
if you remember at the end of last year, was unstoppable.
Was lights out.
Yeah.
But he's splitting time with him. But Dessou's a guy that leads them when it comes to possession rate, meaning more if you go down their entire roster, more possessions end with Dylan Dessou than any other player on their roster, be that a shot or a turnover. So when it goes into Dessou, it's probably going up.
Yeah, he's only played 6 games, 1 start. Trust me, if he's the replacement, it'll be just fine.
Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah.
But I think the magic has been they've got both of those guys. One can come in for the other, but keep an eye on just whether Cedric plays or not.
Brock Cunningham
is back. Yeah,
he was in Rick Barnes' last recruiting class at Texas. Cunningham now
might have played for Tom Penders.
Cunningham into his 12th season. You know what, man? You talk about just a guy that fills a role. He gives him 5 points, 5 rebounds, and every time you turn the TV on, he just busting his ass, right? Just like he knows he's never going to be a pro. He's just out there, college basketball player. Give me anything dirty to do. We had a little situation here. He got ejected.
Yeah, I was just going to say, he'll get in there and mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, he'll mix it up. He got ejected from the Coliseum here 2 years ago now, I think it was. But nevertheless, man, like he's still back. New hairdo this year. He went brush cut. Got a military look to him.
A little more serious.
Yeah, more serious.
Has no time to worry about the hair. Just I got to get up and play basketball.
Exactly.
Leads him in offensive rebounding. Leads them in steals. To your point, not going to score a ton, but he's going to get in there and mix it up.
I mean, he's a classic example of height does not determine rebounding ability. Not a big guy. He just sticks his face in there and goes gets the ball. Texas comes in averaging 78. They allow 66. As we said, second straight road game for them. They come off a 74-73 victory at Cincinnati. 3 guys before the game is brought to us by Lou Wendell Marine Sales. They sell, so if you talk to people that know the pontoon boat industry and you say, hey, they sell Avalon pontoon boats, they'll go like, well, they're the best. They're among the best in the world. And they're manufactured right here in the United States, the Avalon boats. And they've been doing that for eons and eons, and that is what Lou Wendell sells. And right now they've got the 3 guys special. It's the Avalon 2385 Entertainer. It is the Mac Daddy of entertainment pontoons, water skiing, tubing, whatever you want to do. And right now, with the 3 guys special price, you can check it out. So if you or someone you know wants to get into the pontoon world, if you have one you want to replace, trade in, whatever it might be that you want to do, or just get into that world of pontooning, the Avalon 2385, the 3 guys special, with a Honda 150 plus the trailer. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com. That's LouWendellMarineSales.com. And 3 Guys is brought to us by Comax Business Systems. Just fantastic folks located in Charleston, but they have customers literally in all 55 of West Virginia counties. And they are after it. Whether you need business equipment, whether you need a new phone system from 1 digital line to 1,000, they'll come in, give you a free price quote, and tell you how they can help you. State of the art. Plus, their ability to manage your IT with them not being there. If you've got IT issues, remote monitoring available from Comax Business Systems. They do it all. That's why they say business systems. ComaxWV.com. That's ComaxWV.com.
Did you play the music?
Excuse me?
Did you do the Spreads on Stats music?
No.
Oh.
Was I supposed to do it for all that? I did. I was, wasn't I?
Yeah, we kind of did the whole segment there.
Well, wait a second. I got something else. No, wait. There's something else you can do.
Okay, because I got something else too.
Yeah, so I think you're thinking what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's
that was a bonus.
Bonus. Yeah,
Let's
bonus.
go right to the numbers. Here comes a heater. Let's jump into the analytics portion of the show. Ready? 5, 4.
3 Guys before the game has this feature you're about to hear, or perhaps you've already heard, called Spreads on Stats, brought to us by the Conley CPA Group. They do provide value beyond the numbers for business owners, priding themselves in more than just filling out returns or adjusting a balance for you. They take your business and they walk with you step by step, side by side. Think of it this way. You're the lamb, they're the shepherd, and they'll guide you into safety. a client-specific approach to understand your needs, your challenges, and then they say this is the best way to do it. They provide audit and assurance, tax planning preparation, consulting and advisory, and they outsource your accounting if needed, and they can outsource also your CFO service. You need someone to do your accounting outside of your walls of your business, they got you. It's the Conley CPA Group. Yeah, that did kind of get away. We did spreads on stats. Didn't even think we were doing spreads.
Just jumped into our preview there, isn't it?
That's. I mean, because what is this show? I mean, we're the definition of being serious, structured, and formal.
True.
We're the Nick Saban of podcasts. We have a process that we follow, and we never deter.
Well, I also think versatile, right? Adjust on the fly. I think we're very elite in that category.
Very top 1 percentile of being able to be flexible. Yes. By the way, Hoppy isn't here. It's not that we haven't turned his mic on. It's just an empty void. He's out there doing that legislature thing. Probably having a big time.
He did get a Three Guys mention pretty early into his tenure down there at the Capitol.
He sent us a picture and said there was this dude in the rotunda, and he came up to him right off the bat. Three Guys listener. So he was. If you listen to the last couple episodes, he was trying to get us to go guilt. That he wanted us. They wanted
a schedule
us
change,
to
right?
Yeah, he wanted us to wait till like 4:30 in the afternoon, so he could come back from Charleston on Thursday and do the show. And we gave him the big. Nope, we're good. We're not. You know.
Although we do miss him.
Oh, I mean, like an abscess tooth, we miss him. I mean, he's the best. All right, what do we got now? What are you going women's basketball?
Yeah, let's talk a little women's basketball. Go ahead. You lead it off. I'll invite you into the Spreads on Stats segment here. Let's lead it off. You kind of give an overview and discussion here a little bit.
So I watched the game closely last night, and
fun game.
It was
entertaining. I shouldn't say fun.
Yeah,
entertaining game.
So I listened. I was listening to the radio, and the kid doing the game on the radio. You know, he rhetorically asked this question. He said, "Case Iowa State's on this run, and then all of a sudden you lose the lead." And he goes, "Wow." He goes, "How did this happen?" I said, "You want to know how it happened?" So I jumped into stat broadcast, and I said, "This is why it happened, because in the second half, Iowa State's defense forced West Virginia into shooting the ball from outside the three-point line. It would not let WVU get inside the paint. West Virginia attempted 43 three-point shots and 26 two-point shots. 62% of West Virginia's shots came from three. 62%, which is great if you make them. Meanwhile, Iowa State took just 32% of its shots from three, and they hit 55% of their two-point shots. They also outscored West Virginia at the foul line 19-4, right? If you're not getting into the lane, you're not drawing fouls most of the time.
Plus 15 points there was a big
Plus
one.
15 points at the foul line. And those are just a couple of the numbers as to how that got away.
19-point lead at one point?
Third quarter, they were up 19. Yeah, that's okay. You know, the thing that got me through that, I said, okay, fine, you got us. But they come back here on the 29th of January.
Mm-hmm.
So 29th of January, you look at what they did, and you come back here and say, okay, got it. We'll take care of you. And you get it. You just avenge the loss. It was one you could have got, one you should have got based on that lead, but you'll get them when they come back here. What'd the computer say?
You had some good ones there. That 43 three-point attempts was a big one. You mentioned crediting to Iowa State's defense because we talked to Mark about this. They're a big rim and three-point team. They get to the basket. A lot of that's driven by their steals and their turnovers, and or Jordan Harrison and Quinterly breaking you down and getting to the basket. They're both elite at getting by their defender, so they like to get all the way into the rim, or they like to shoot the threes. Well, if you cut one of those off, same thing we're talking about with the West Virginia men, right? Okay, if you hit from three and you beat us, tip your hat. West Virginia was right there, did a great job in the first half, struggled a little bit in the second. But let's put some more context to those numbers in particular. The last two games, the Texas game and the West Virginia game, we've had this same conversation about West Virginia and the size of both of those teams bothering them. Iowa State had some size inside as well. You want to know some wild numbers? Let's look at West Virginia at the rim. Just go back 3 games prior to the last 2. So I'm going back 5 games.
All right.
Okay. West Virginia's points at the rim, starting with Niagara. So I'll give you one.
I remember that game.
60 points at the rim.
Yeah, they damn near killed them.
Yeah. Now, get into Big 12 play against Kansas in Fall Allen Fieldhouse. 47 points at the rim. Go to the next game. That was a win. Go to Cincinnati at home. 30 points at the rim. So you get into the rim.
I'm getting a trend. How many last night?
The last 2 games against Iowa State and against Texas, both losses.
Combined?
No. Each. Scored the same amount at the rim in each game. 16 in each game.
There it is.
So just 32 combined. Barely more than what you had in your last game out. So that's one of the things that you looked at. They needed literally another 3 or 2 in the fourth quarter there, and you win that game.
Yes.
That it came down to that. Here's the positives. Just like we said coming out of that Texas game, I think if you're Mark Kellogg and you look forward, all right, what do we do? Went into a tough place to play at Iowa State against a good team with an elite coach. He's been around for a long time. Bill Fenley, the Iowa State coach, he's won a lot of games.
600.
600. It's a lot of wins.
Yeah, it is.
Still forced 20 turnovers.
Yes.
Had 25 points off of turnovers. So what you do still worked. It came down to same thing against Texas. Just missed a bunch of open shots. Last night the game was closer. You needed a couple more threes and you get there.
Yes. 100%. So while last night was hard, if you invested your time to watch that and you're up 19 and then you don't get the result, while it was tough. Here's the thing that you just said. The future for this program is extremely bright. I mean, extremely bright, because he's just setting his foundation markers right now. They just forced 44 turnovers in 2 games against Texas and Iowa State.
2 of the best coached teams that you'll face in the country, never mind this league.
Yes, absolutely. So it's there, and who knows what they're going to do for the rest of this season. But when he gets everything in full flow, West Virginia women's basketball is going to be a really, really special program, and they're going to be one of the premier programs in this league. No question, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's coming, and they're going to still have great success this year. But you start putting those numbers together in year 1, it's only going to get better.
Yeah, and again, you're right. I think there's a lot of success still this season because there's things there that are really working. One of the things you look at, though, 2 more things on this, and we'll move on. If you look late in this game, one of the things I like to look at is just the different runs that teams go on. What do they always say about basketball? It's a game of runs. Mm-hmm. So West Virginia had one. They went on an 11-point run. Okay? After that point, Iowa State went on runs of 13 and 2 different 10-point runs.
Yep.
So when I say you are 1 or 2 shots away from, you get a 3 in between those runs and stop that.
Absolutely.
That changes that game a little bit.
Yep.
So that's all it was.
That was one of those deals, and not to make it sound, to rationalize, but the final score really didn't indicate that game. It was the margin of victory, I should say. The margin of victory really wasn't what that was. But anyway, like I said, go get UCF on Saturday and come on back home. And then on the 29th, you get another chance at Iowa State.
Real quick, couple individual performances. Let's call these out real quick. Jordan Harrison, 17 points, 7 assists. She's a ton of fun to watch. J.J. Quinterly, just 10 points, 6 assists. That backcourt with the assist is really something to watch. And how about Kylie Blackston last night? She was big, 4 threes, 16 points on the night. So that was big to get her.
That's what the Mountaineer men's team doesn't have. A person that can get an open shot. Steps out big, and can make shots. Mm-hmm. All right. 3 guys brought to us by Gomart. Go for good times. Go for Gomart. Get the Gomart rewards card. It's coffee season. I don't know if you know that or not. Well, really, it's coffee time all the time. But in the winter, if you want to warm up, cold on the outside, coffee always toasty, warm, and fresh brewed at Gomart. And get that rewards card. Everything you need. Fueling up this winter, from tasty grab-and-go items to windshield wiper fluid. Kercheval might even be buying some of that windshield wiper fluid. Trucks go by and get your window all in. Kercheval might have to get it.
Important to have this time of year.
Oh, if you don't have it now.
A ton.
Yeah, you don't have it now. I mean, you don't get it. All right, let's do this thing. 3 guys before the game Textual Healing is brought to us by episode800.com. That's the place. We were talking about it earlier in the show. That's where we got all of our stuff. Our merch. It's our merch. Food. The Valentine's popcorn. Holy heck. Got a reminder, right? So, did we specify you need to get that order in there on that stuff? It's gone really, really well. And when we did the Mountaineer Munch for Christmas, that went extremely well. And I think we're getting a lot of people that bought Mountaineer Munch that are coming back to buy the new Valentine's popcorn because they figured out and they saw how good that was. And it's Valentine's Velvet Delight. It's strawberry and cream, vanilla, white chocolate, strawberry, popcorn. It's going really well. So visit it all, episode800.com. Before we jump straight in, let me just give you some numbers. Can I give you some numbers?
Sure.
So just to let you know, because you three guys really is, if we don't have you, then we don't have a show, correct?
Meaning the listeners.
Yeah. If we don't have
or
you.
Watchers.
When I say
viewers.
you, when I say you, we don't have a show. So we did some numbers from this past year, and we compared those to 2022.
Year over year.
Year over year. 2022 compared to 2023, which we just ended. So total downloads, audio-only downloads of the pod, total audio downloads, we increased 63% from 22 to 23. So 2023 went up 63%. Mm-hmm. We did 508,000 audio downloads in 2023, which is 117,000 a month, 9,700 a week.
So 500,000 for the year.
Yes, over 500,000.
Just audio, okay.
And we're well over 2.5 million total through the show's history. YouTube numbers went stupid.
They pop.
Stupid. Like when I looked at it,
YouTube's going to be around.
YouTube's really good. All of them. All YouTubes. Our views increased 428% in 2023. Our watch time increased 499%. These fine folks watched 107,200 hours.
God bless you all.
107,200 hours. And our subscribers increased 96%.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone.
Based upon our YouTube demo, as we know, this is a male-dominated show, right? But 5% of our audience doesn't think we're idiots. Those are females.
Well, I don't know that that many don't think we're idiots, but
oh yeah, well
they listen.
Mm-hmm. And so yeah, thank you. I mean, some of those numbers to go up 63% on your audio downloads in a year when your show's 6 years old means that we kind of hit up.
There, that's the number. Yeah.
All right, let's go.
So thank you, everyone. That's what we're saying. That's the reason for reading all those numbers, so for us to say thank you for
1,000 thank yous. First time texter. I'm a North Carolina transplant by the way of hurricane, 2 weeks post GI bleed. Well, that doesn't sound fun. I mayoed my way to Charlotte with my best friend forever from South Carolina by the way of Winfield, 3 weeks post knee replacement. I mean, so these two folks come in, right? They come in. I mean, basically needed an ambulance. Plus, we had 2 Gen Z tag-alongs. What a game! Never tired of high-fiving complete strangers as if you've known them your entire life. Mountaineer pride always connected. A lot of people don't understand it until you see it. Proud to be a Mountaineer, signed by Waverly Gibson, Redskins class of 1980. So we got one post-GI bleed. We got post-knee replacement. And they trekked in there and got it done. Thank you. Texter. Thanks. Is that the same per? I don't know. It's different. Yeah, that was red. Okay, that's fine. Got a little controversy here. Charlie from Midlothian.
What?
Yeah.
He's our guy.
Tony. Charlie writes in. We love Charlie.
Just because you attacked him on the last show?
I don't think it was an attack. Tony, I'm aware that you sometimes change words for comic relief. I actually considered that fact when you said Kroger's, but the look on Hoppy's face seemed to indicate he believed you were correct. I must apologize for the cutting Gucci Kroger remark, that was uncalled for, so I deserved your reprimanding remarks, although that's in line with the aforementioned comic relief, or at least I hope that was your intent, Charlie. I mean, we love you like a brother. Charlie, if you were here right now, I'd give you a big hug. You guys have been very kind to me throughout my participation. I really appreciate it more than you'll ever know. Look forward to perhaps interacting with the three of you again in person at some point in the future. Until then, all the best, and keep us entertained. Charlie, thank you, my friend. We certainly do appreciate it. Yes, I was just playing with you, Charlie. Hey, three guys, I wanted to issue a warning to Hoppy.
What?
No, I don't plan to fight him. I want to buy him a Kercheval. By my calculations, having a Kercheval with Hoppy would be kind of like drinking a Commodore Perry IPA while overlooking the waters where Commodore Perry became the hero of Lake Erie in 1813 for the most unique drinking session of my life so far. Unless, of course, you went to high school with Jack Daniels. This sort of thing is pretty rare. P.S. If I'm casting a Three Guys movie, I'm going Goldblum for Hoppy, Vince Vaughn for the Senator, and Tom Hanks for Tony. The personas are more important than the exact looks. I'd be making a cameo as your smart-ass accountant or business manager, and I would be played by John Favreau. Just spitballing. Love the show. T1 Texter, Pete in Pennsboro. Did I say Favreau's name right?
Yeah. Very well done. Thanks.
Three guys, I was thinking about texting, then Scopes made this unkind remark that folks Hoppy's age should be retired. I also am still working, and I'm Hoppy's age, so here you go. On episode 518, Tony corrected Hoppy and said it was Kroger's. I vividly remember Tony once stopping Hoppy to tell him he made an old guy move by calling it Kroger's, and that this should simply be Kroger. Which is it, Tony? Since I'm his age, I'll rely on Hoppy, thank you. For Brad, I saw these at Kroger. Since they're pink, can I consider these fruit?
Oh, I haven't seen those yet. There is these people. They must have access to better stuff than us. There's stuff every show I've never seen.
He said he got them at Kroger.
I've not seen those.
He got them at Kroger's.
Yeah, pink count as fruit. Absolutely, Rick.
Thank you, Rick. Be good.
Well, he's in Morgantown.
Sure.
Should be able to find those.
You know what? So, like, these people keep finding all this Reese's stuff that we don't see. There must be like a special, like, vault that you go in, you tap it twice, and there's a fake door that opens. You go in, there's all this different Reese's stuff.
Well, how do we not have access to that? There can't be people that speak about Reese's more than we do. I don't think the employees of Reese's speak as much about it as we do.
You might be right. Don in Virginia writes, add me to the list. New Zealand, off the coast of the South Island, boat tour of Milford Sound. Maybe 50 to 70 people are on the boat. I'm wearing a West Virginia cap. A lady comes up to me and says she was from and had family in West Virginia. It was 10, 15 years ago. I don't recall where her family lived. After hearing so many New Zealand texts recently, I felt I should add mine. Sure. So basically West Virginia is New Zealand. That's what we've learned.
Very popular there.
Yeah. Periopolis Phil writes, Texter, I saw Darnell Wright got on the all-NFL rookie team. Would have been nice to have him in state. I'll say it's nice that we have a coach that tries to keep his in-state talent now. Also, can we sue the NCAA and get a redo on this basketball year? Yeah.
I would love Darnell Wright. He was a good one. Is a good one.
Yeah. Texter, hello. Ms. Patty just likes listening to you yell, LOL. Oh, so he wants to.
So you're supposed to yell.
Hello! Ouch. We just finished watching episode 519 and felt that we had to write in 1,000% support of Hoppy's and Brad's opinions. Leave Josh Eilert alone. The problems our basketball team is having is because of the actions of Bob Huggins, period. This is the result of a series of poor decisions he made this past summer. The well-documented problems Neil Brown inherited in year 0 look like a Sunday school picnic compared to what Josh Eilert had dropped in his lap. Yes, he volunteered for the job, but that's a true sign of leadership to step up and want to lead in a crisis. Josh Eilert and his staff deserve an entire off-season to rebuild and retool the team and coach next season. They'll let someone else pass judgment whether to keep him or move on to a different coach. Those people who want instant gratification from a Mountaineer team don't remember when Gail Catlett disappeared during the season and left his nephew to coach. Of course, the Cat had a lot of great Mountaineer basketball teams in the 80s and the 90s. We've just come out of another golden era of Mountaineer basketball that lasted 20-plus years, and that has been a lot of fun. We love Hugs. We always will. We hope he gets his health in order and comes back someday and gets properly honored for all that he's done for West Virginia and the state. We're tired of people bashing Josh Eilert and his staff and felt compelled to write in his support. Steve and Pat Wilson from Tornado, West Virginia. Texter, hello, gentlemen. Wanted to pass on to you that you can actually purchase one of these bad boys new out of the box. My wife teaches second grade here in Iowa and got tired of the kids breaking several motors on electric pencil sharpeners, finally went old school industrial, buying and having me install this dandy. No word on when she might swap out the classroom Kleenex boxes for tried and true railroad hankies, but I'll be sure to let her know that they have hoppy, 3 longs and 2 snorts stamp of approval should you consider. Evan in Iowa.
You can tell that's modern, though. That's a very sleek design.
Yeah, it's got
it's
chrome,
not the old one had
finish.
like that orange, that orange tinty top to it.
Yeah, that's real steel right there. 3 guys, it's disheartening to hear so many fans hating on the current basketball staff. They must not know who they're hating on. Deshaun Butler, Alex Ruoff, Jordan McCabe, DeMar Johnson. These guys know basketball, not to mention Eilert working for a Hall of Fame coach for all of his career. They have been dealt an impossible hand. It's pathetic to stomp on guys you used to cheer for when they're down. They're dealing with the consequences of bad decisions, and there's no debate on that. Okay, my rant's over. Go Mountaineers. Texter, 3 Guys Nation. In episode 513 ago, a texter brought up if I wrote a transfer portal letter to Spreads, and what language did I use? I did write a letter and thank the program for all the help it gave me, and it signed it with, please respect my decision. Interestingly, I found a graduate assistant position in school, and the hiring manager that interviewed me for that job is an avid 3 Guys listener. There is always a 3 Guys connection. P.S. As an avid fisherman and skier, I do use a hanky to clean my nose all of thermal time. That happens in the cold winter. Yeah.
Oh, so that's from Parker.
Yeah.
The elite 5-star lawn guy that entered the portal.
So he got a GA job?
Sounds like it.
Yeah, good.
Good for him. Congratulations, Parker.
Hi, gentlemen. I've not been this excited to receive an order since I ordered golf clubs 3 years ago. My Valentine's Day crunch, shirts and hat will do well for Valentine's Day. Hopefully, it's enough to get a spring golf trip. Fingers crossed. P.S. Can Brad and Hoppy deliver mine too? Signed by the big guy in Mullins. I'm bummed out that I couldn't go that day you delivered.
That was fun.
I had, forget what it was.
We'll do it again.
Aaron from Myrtle Beach, mid-game text. Does Brad have a stat that shows how many times West Virginia gives up a free throw rebound when the opposing team misses? Seems to happen a lot, not just this year. It's directly led to a few losses. Just seems hard to believe you can't get a board when you've got 4 to their 2 plus the shooter, which should not factor in most times.
I don't know if I have that exact stat. Efforting.
Joe in Barbersville, in-game text. Well, guys, looks like backdoor screens and cuts to the basket are not our strong suit on defense. This team is fun to watch, but fundamentally we lack offensive and defensive sets. Very few uncontested shots on offense and way, way, way too many baskets that are easy given up on defense. I know this team is not complete yet, but they seem to lack some fundamentals on how the game should be played. Look to hear your guys' thoughts on that. Joe from Barbersville. Well, I mean, certainly just no mesh at this point. I used this last night on Sportsline. I mean, they're playing music, but they have different sheet music. One guy's playing one horn, another guy's playing something else. At this point, you hope they can sync it up. Texter, with all due respect, I'd like to join in on the Marlington conversation. I grew up in Richwood, but now live in Virginia. For all but the last few years of my 60-plus on this earth, I thought the town 37 miles to our east was Marlington. Route 39 connects our 2 towns and has always been known by the locals as Marlington Road. I would say you'd be hard-pressed to find many in the Richwood area who correctly pronounce it Marlington. Now, After all these years of mispronunciation, I have to think before speaking and then slowly say Marlinton. It's not easy.
That's a great one.
Well, I'm just glad, dude, that I wasn't alone in that. I'm not alone. So he
lives down there.
He's down there. He thought it was Marlington too.
That's classic.
But I mean, I'm glad we fixed that. I'll never say Marlington again. It's always going to be Marlinton.
We always say we're just here to help.
We're here to help business in West Virginia and whatever else we can do.
And your sweet tooth.
Yeah. Texter. Alan in Morgantown. Hey, two guys before the game. Setting the line now for spreads at 103.5 as to the amount of texts asking about how about getting Nick Saban to West Virginia.
We did not get as many last night on Sportsline as I thought we would.
We have a mutual friend who I won't name his name who called me this morning.
You and I have a mutual friend that called you? Okay.
And he said, now just hear me out on this. Hear me out. And I said, dude, if you're going to say something stupid, stop right now. So he says, just listen. I said, okay, fine. What do you got? And he says, some way, somehow, I can see Nick Saban getting involved with West Virginia football. I just said, shut up. I just said, shut up. I've known this kid since he was in high school. Just stop. No. I said, no. He's going to go do television. He's going to be really good on television. Stop it. Thanks, Christian. Is that who you're thinking it was? What? Did you think it was him?
I had two people in mind.
Yeah.
He was one.
Yeah.
I mean, choice one.
Yeah. I had something else for him, too, on that. I said, so go tell your boys that you play poker with every week. That's what it is. Dear 2 or 3 guys, Professor Vinny here. I got a throwback. Thursday, there's always a West Virginia connection. It's a bit long, so stay with me. I got my bachelor's from WVU. Then I got a PhD from Ohio State. I was there 0609. As such, I made sure that everyone knew that I was a West Virginia fan, often wearing my gear. So one Thursday, I'm sporting a West Virginia jersey. I'm over at Graduate Student Offices, building actually right next to the president's office. We're hanging out in the hallway talking about where I might want to go watch the game. A little old guy with a brown suit, red bow tie comes walking around the corner. First thing he does, he points at my West Virginia jersey and he says, hey, I used to be the president there. Yep, it was. Gordon Gee himself. Nice talk we had. Very friendly. Always a West Virginia connection, even at Ohio State. Texter, hello 3 guys. Brad has spreads on stats. Now Hoppy has HOO. It's time for Tony to have his own segment. I'm thinking it should be called Caridi's Kitchen, where Tony shares food and cooking tips. From listening to the podcast, I have already learned about real San Marzano tomatoes, wet breadcrumbs for meatballs, the final supper, also known as your death meal, and heard countless restaurant recommendations. All that's needed is a short stinger before and after Tony drops some food knowledge. Signed by JD from the Southern Coalfields. I'm all in for that. We, in fact, had a food conversation right before we had started the recording today. We had Dave, who's the mastermind of the program, in here in studio, rare appearance. And we basically said the same thing. We're going to go more food. Heavier food, yeah. Craig in Craigsville. I hate to admit it to you guys, but occasionally I cheat on you. This time it was worth it. While listening to the latest Joe Rogan, Charles Wesley Godwin was the guest. There he is. I guess he cut his teeth on 3 guys and then moved on to the big time. I'm listening right now. I certainly hope he gives 3 guys a shout-out. Craig in Craigsville. Charles was on Joe Rogan. I had no idea that he was going on there.
Yeah, I didn't. I saw it after the fact.
You know what he was wearing? Did you see the hat he was wearing?
Jeans.
Thought that was awesome. Yeah. This other person says, big fumble by 3 guys. No 3 guys merchandise worn by Charles Wesley Godwin on the biggest podcast in the world. No, he didn't. Would have been nice. What if Charles went on there and was wearing an Efforting tee? Because he owns one.
He does.
He owns an Efforting tee. Do you imagine if he was wearing an Efforting tee?
We should have worked with him on that.
Yeah. Texter, P1 Jason in Mobile here. This Saban stuff always gets me thinking the what ifs. There's a batch of people out there that think and say that if Rich Rod had taken the Bama job, that Saban very well might have ended up taking his place at West Virginia. What I remind the people with that theory is that there's no guarantees in this sport and that Saban's success at Alabama has been a perfect marriage of endless resources that only a few programs have and Nick Saban. What do you guys say? Do you think there would have been a chance of landing Saban if Rich Rod had left? Okay, I'll give you my 2 words. Absolutely not.
Agree.
You agree?
Agree.
I say no. I think Nick only wanted the biggest of big jobs, and West Virginia just didn't fit the bill for him. Although we did have it rolling pretty good back then, and the program had tremendous momentum. Thoughts? No, 1,000%. Nick Saban was never, ever, 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 55 evers going to come to West Virginia and coach. Wasn't going to do it.
Real quick on Saban. If I've got this right, the numbers are staggering here. But he won 6 titles at Alabama.
Yeah.
Right? If you add up every other active coach across college football, they only own combined 6 natties. And that includes Harbaugh, who just got one.
Well, he won 7. Nick won 7.
7 total. I'm just saying at Alabama.
Yeah.
I'm saying at one school. I'm not even I'm taking away the LSU one.
Yeah, you just threw that one away.
Throw it away. 6 from all others combined. And if Harbaugh leaves for the Washington Commanders in the next couple of days, that'll take that down to 5.
Yeah.
Can I give you one more?
Yeah.
15 consecutive seasons being ranked number 1 at some point.
Stupid.
And one of the ones that he wasn't was this year, and he still went to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Remarkable run.
Greatest college coach ever. If not who?
Said this earlier on Hoppy's Coffee Clatch.
He had you on today?
Yeah.
He's still doing the show when he goes down to Charleston?
Yeah, he did. It might have only been like 13 minutes long. Wasn't 2 hours. I think one of his greatest achievements is for that long, almost 2 decades, keeping total control of the decision-making process around that program. There weren't ADs telling them what to do. There weren't presidents. And more importantly, at a school like that, there weren't donors. Mm-hmm. There was nobody in there, I'll give you this money if you do this. I'm not giving you this money until you do. There was not. I mean, it was Nick Saban making that decision.
Saw some staggering.
Best of luck to the next person in.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee there's some donors down there that have been itching for 2 decades to get their hands in the mix.
Yes.
It coming.
Saw some staggering numbers on what enrollment has done at Alabama since he's been there.
Popped.
And money.
Yeah.
Out of state.
Mm-hmm.
Just unbelievable. Texter, this is Troy from Columbus. I wanted to wish Brett a happy belated birthday and let him know that January 10th is a great day to be born, as it's my birthday as well.
Well, happy birthday.
Brad and
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed a wonderful birthday. You guys are the best. Horns down Saturday. Let's go Mountaineers. Troy in Columbus.
Happy birthday, Troy.
2 guys, this is AJ from South Park. And all the talk of needing to bring regionalism back to college football, an interesting anecdote struck me. The world champion Mountaineers are ranked, he wrote world champion. The world champion Mountaineers are ranked as the 22nd most winning college team of all time, 781 total victories. Unfortunately, we share that ranking with the presidents of Washington and Jefferson. Even though we have far surpassed the boys from the 1922 Rose Bowl in virtually every category, we can't seem to get our longtime rival off of our backs. Others may be black or crimson, but for me, it's gold and blue. Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah. Texter. Hey guys, Greg from Mon County here. Back in the 90s, I worked as a contractor out of Clarksburg. We went to do a job estimate at the old Red Caboose, a small restaurant just outside the city. I've eaten there
Red
before.
Caboose.
Yeah. You ever eat there?
No, but I know of it.
Yeah. We were escorted down to the basement to look at the area being renovated. Far corner was a huge old white stove with a pot on it that had to be 20 gallons. In front of the stove was a stepladder. Odd. A few minutes into our measuring, out of the dark corner comes a short, older woman in a dress carrying a long wooden paddle. She had on what looked like a blood-splattered apron. I stepped out of her way as she made her way to the stove. She climbed up the ladder, started to stir that pot of sauce, mumbling something in Italian that I didn't understand. Probably for the best.
Big pot of sauce.
Yeah, probably looked at you and noticed that you were probably not of Italian descent. Probably said something like Merdegani or something like that. And for my Italian listeners out there, you're chuckling right now. Last one. Texter. 3 guys. Technically, what Hoppy said was, quote, I was on a bus. I think it was Ecuador. That's a better T-shirt, in my opinion.
It's a lot of words, though.
Yeah.
Because I had shortened that to I was on a bus in Ecuador.
Yeah. By the way, last one. Tony, on January the 11th, 2024, which is today, Brad Howe was on Hoppy's show talking about Nick Saban.
Oh, see?
And he said he was looking at the numbers, but he did not have his spreads on stats music. Heresy. Heresy is what he said. You can't do that. And when you give numbers, you got to have your music.
Well, he was out of the studio. He didn't have access.
Well, maybe he needs to start traveling with some music. Yeah. All right, we've done enough damage here. Thanks so very much for listening. This has been Last Longhorns Visit, episode 520. We're back on Monday, which will be a review of Texas and a preview of Wednesday's game against Oklahoma in Norman. I looked at the forecast today. I thought, go to Norman. Sometimes you get some decent weather this time. You get a 60-degree day in Norman this time of year.
Not this time.
Overnight low the day before we get there is -2.
Oh. I like that.
It gets 20 or something by the time we're there. Anyway.
By the way, there's still time to order that popcorn, right? We're not at the shut-off delivery date?
Yeah.
Episode800.com?
On Monday, hopefully, did he say on Monday we're going to have like the 1-gallon tin? There's a limited number of 1-gallon tins.
We're going to have one in here?
He's efforting that we're going to autograph. There's a limited number that we will autograph and then we will send to you. That'd be pretty nice. Cool. West Virginia tin full of that Valentine's. I mean, that's unbelievable. Popcorn.
Strawberry, white chocolate, marshmallows.
Three Guys brought to us by Comax Business Systems, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years. By GoMart. Go for good times. Go for GoMart. By Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans. They sell family fun. Take advantage of the Three Guys special. Lou Wendell Marine Sales.com. That's 2 L's on Lou Wendell. And by the Conley CPA Group, providing value beyond the numbers. Special thanks to our producer of this episode, Jumpin' Jack Carlson. His Christmas break is now over. He has to go back to college.
Bummer.
He doesn't return to us until May. So our heart will have a hole in it until then.
No question.
We'll try to fill that heart with our Valentine's Day popcorn, which you can buy on episode800.com. Thanks for being with us, everyone. See you. Be good.